January 3, 2026. The night the sky over Caracas turned into a literal war zone. As precision air strikes leveled the defenses of the Miraflores Palace, the world held its breath. This wasn't just a mission, it was a decapitation strike against one of the most protected regimes on Earth. Under the cover of smoke and chaos, elite Delta Force operators extracted the man who had dodged the DEA for over 2 decades. Nicolás Maduro is no longer in power. He is in federal custody. But as he touched down on U.S. soil, a new battle began, one that takes place behind the closed doors of a high-security courtroom in Manhattan. The charges filed against him are catastrophic, and the potential consequences, they are unlike anything we have ever seen in the history of international law. What exactly did the DEA find? And what is the ultimate price the U.S. government is demanding he pay? To understand his fate, we first have to look at the secret files of the Cartel of the Suns. The end is near, and it's darker than you think. The clock struck 2 a.m. in Caracas when the power grid went dark. For weeks, the United States had been positioning a massive joint task force under the radar, and on January 3rd, the order came down. Operation Absolute Resolve was go. Over 150 American aircraft, including F-22 Raptors, B-1 Lancers, and EA-18G Growlers, saturated the Venezuelan airspace, blinding the regime's S-300 air defense systems in a matter of minutes. But the real spearhead of the attack was not in the sky, it was on the ground. Elite operators from the Army's Delta Force, inserted via silent Black Hawk helicopters, breached the perimeter of the Miraflores Palace. While F-35 fighters conducted precision strikes on nearby military hangars at Fort Tuna to suppress any counterattack, the capture team moved with surgical speed. Sources indicate that Maduro attempted a last-ditch escape toward a steel-reinforced safe room buried deep beneath the palace. He did not make it. In less than 20 minutes from the first explosion, the word "package secured" crackled over the radio. Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, were extracted and flown directly to the USS Iwo Jima. This was not just a spontaneous raid. This was the culmination of a decade-long hunt for the man the United States calls the leader of the Cartel of the Suns, a corrupt military junta that allegedly turned Venezuela into a global transit point for thousands of tons of cocaine. The extraction was flawless, but as the smoke clears, the legal war is just beginning. Now that Maduro is behind bars in New York, the focus shifts to the mountain of evidence collected by the DEA and the FBI over the last 2 decades. The unsealed indictment from the Southern District of New York is a masterpiece of criminal investigation, and it paints a chilling picture of a state turned into a mafia. Count 1. Narco-Terrorism Conspiracy. This is the heavy hitter. The United States government alleges that Maduro did not just look the other way, he acted as the CEO of the Cartel of the Suns. But here is the kicker. They claim he used cocaine as a weapon. By coordinating with the FARC, a violent terrorist organization, Maduro allegedly flooded American neighborhoods with poison to undermine United States national security. In the eyes of the law, this is not just drug dealing, it is asymmetric warfare. Count 2. Cocaine Importation Conspiracy. We are talking about scale on an industrial level. The DOJ alleges that under Maduro's direct orders, hundreds of tons of cocaine were moved through Venezuelan airbases and seaports. Prosecutors have logs of diplomatic flights and ghost ships that bypassed international radar to deliver cargo worth billions of dollars to United States shores. But it is counts 3 and 4 that really seal his fate: possession and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. The DEA unmasked a network where military-grade weaponry, AK-47s, RPGs, and even landmines, were distributed to cartels and paramilitary groups to protect these drug routes. Under United States federal guidelines, these weapons charges carry mandatory minimums that are often served consecutively, not concurrently. His defense team is already scrambling, but with the amount of wiretaps, flipped informants, and seized ledgers the government has in its vault, the walls are not just closing in on Maduro. They have already collapsed. The question is not whether he is guilty. It is how much of his life he has left to lose. As the legal gears begin to grind in New York, a grim reality is setting in for the former Venezuelan leader. In the United States federal system, being a former head of state offers no protection against narco-terrorism charges. We have seen this before. In 1992, Manuel Noriega found out the hard way that a presidential title does not stop a 40-year sentence. But for Maduro, the stakes are even higher. Legal experts are already looking at where a man of his profile would be housed if the government secures a conviction. All signs point to one place, a DX Florence. Known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, this is the most secure supermax prison on the planet. It is designed for one thing: total sensory deprivation and absolute control. Imagine a 7 by 12-foot concrete cell, a concrete bed, a concrete desk. For 23 hours a day, there is no human contact, no view of the outside world, just a thin slit of a window looking up at a patch of Colorado sky. This is where the world's most dangerous kingpins go to be forgotten. Maduro's defense team will undoubtedly argue sovereign immunity, claiming that a United States court has no jurisdiction over a foreign leader. But with the 2026 unsealed indictment labeling him a direct threat to American lives, that argument is likely to fall on deaf ears. The United States government is not just trying a politician. They are trying a man they claim operated a criminal enterprise for 2 decades. The transition from the Miraflores Palace to a 24-hour lockdown is a journey very few ever return from. And as we look at the federal sentencing guidelines, the path forward for Nicolás Maduro looks like a dead end. So, after 20 years of evasion, a $15 million bounty, and a high-stakes military extraction, what is the final math for Nicolás Maduro? Under United States federal sentencing guidelines, the numbers are devastating. For the count of narco-terrorism alone, he faces a mandatory minimum of 20 years. But the real silent killers in this indictment are the weapons charges. In the American justice system, carrying military-grade destructive devices in furtherance of a drug crime carries a mandatory 30-year sentence. When these sentences are served consecutively, as they almost always are in cases of this magnitude, the math becomes simple. Nicolás Maduro is looking at mandatory life in prison without the possibility of parole. There are no backroom deals. There is no early release for good behavior. From the heights of the Miraflores Palace to a permanent blackout in a supermax cell, the journey of the world's most wanted man is officially over. Justice has finally arrived. But what do you think? Is life behind bars enough for the crimes alleged by the DEA? Or should the international community have taken a different path? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And if you want to stay on the front lines as this trial of the century unfolds, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is Blue Line Raw. Thanks for watching.